What's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a fish store / aquarium. Please let me know down below in the comment section, is there a specific build that you would like to see on the channel in the future? Whether it is a real world build like this one, or if it's something from a cartoon, movie, video game, or something else. Let me know down below in the comment section. Every single suggestion is highly considered. The fish store features a large central tank with an impressive set of corals and 2 glow squids. Inside the store, we have every single fish available for purchase. And a nice selection of aquatic plants. We also have a turtle who may or may not be named Donatello. And we also have this handy little bench so that we can watch our glow squid. This is the amount of space required to make the aquarium. Here are some of the materials that we will use throughout the build. And here are the rest. Begin by placing 2 quartz pillars in a row on the ground. 1, 2. Extend back 1. And then right 1. Dig in the ground to the right by 2. 1, 2. Place quartz bricks in there, and then oak doors on top. Then place a quartz pillar to the right of the double doors. We then want to dig in the ground right of the pillar, place a cyan terracotta in there instead, and then dig forwards 2, right 1, forwards 1, right by 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, back 1, right 1, back by 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, left, back, left by 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, forwards, left, forwards, and place cyan terracotta in all of that empty space. Then remove all of the grass block inside of our circle and replace it with sand. On top of every single cyan terracotta, place 5 glass block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once you have done that, add a layer of smooth stone slabs on top of the glass. Then, once you have done that, come to the right side of the tank, line up with the middle block. You can see the quartz pillar on the opposite side. Place a quartz pillar against the tank, dig to the right by 2, 1, 2, place quartz bricks in there with oak doors on top. Then, place 2 quartz pillar to the right, 1, 2, extend forwards 1, right 1, and then extend back by 18, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Extend across the back of the build by 1, and then in 1, right by 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, forwards 1, and right by 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, extend in 1 and right by 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, forwards 1, right 1, and then connect all the way back to the very front of the build. Next, we are going to remove all of the grass block inside of the store. Next, we are going to place glass block on top of every single one of our doors. We will then come all the way to the back of the build and place glass block here in this position and here in this position. Once we have placed all of that glass, we are now going to place 2 entire rows of blue concrete on top of all of the pillar quartz that we have just placed. And of course on top of the single glass blocks that we have placed at the back of the build as well. Next, place a layer of smooth quartz slab on top of the walls of the aquarium. On the front of the build, place an additional layer of smooth quartz slab extending and connecting across the top of the door. Also, add an additional layer of smooth quartz slab on the left and right side of the build, extending all the way to the very back of the build. Extend the smooth quartz slab so that it overhangs the back of the build, and then we can fill the entire roof section in using smooth quartz slab. Next, we are going to hang lanterns left and right over both of the entrances. Then, we are going to place ferns left and right of the entrances as well. We also want to place a row of oak leaves that sit along the left and right side of the build, extending from the side of the building all the way along the back of the grids. Then we want to place ferns in between the crevices of the building at the back and remove the back portion of the grid and replace it with lime terracotta. Next, dig 6 rows in front of each set of double doors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We then want to extend the last 2 rows all the way over to the left, in between each other, and all the way over to the right. We also want to dig the last 2 rows on the left and right side all the way to the front of the grid. And then replace all of this empty space with smooth stone. Then extend the leaves forwards so that they connect to the smooth stone path, and remove all of the grass either side of the path leading to the entrance and also in front of the central tank as well. And replace it with lime terracotta. We then want to remove all of the remaining grass and grids at the front of the build. And in this empty space, starting all the way at the back in the left, we will place a white concrete powder with 3 grey concrete powder to the right, 1, 2, 3, white concrete powder, 3 grey concrete powder, white concrete powder, 3 grey concrete powder, so on and so forth until we connect to the opposite side. We then want to extend all of the white and grey concrete powder forwards to envelop this empty space. Then place yellow carpet on top of the first row of all of the rows of grey concrete powder. Next, we have to actually remove this single oak leaf on the left and replace it with a quartz pillar and extend right by 3. 1, 2, 3. Add another row of quartz pillar on top. Now we are going to write the word fish in banners hanging off of the quartz pillar. So we must now make the dreaded sign. Throw down a loom, open it up, place a white banner in there with some black dye. The first letter we have to make is F, which is Pale Dexter, Chief, Fess. Next is I, that is simply Pale. Next is S, Chief, Base, Bend. And lastly, H, Pale Dexter, Pale Sinister, and Fess. So, with these 4 banners, we can spell out the word fish just over here on this sign to the left. You could also place this on the right as well, but I do like a little bit of asymmetry. And well, there we go. The banners and dye were never seen again. Step 1, we are going to make all of our fish tanks, which means on the left side of our build, we first of all want to extend these quartz pillar and blue concrete rows backwards. In the ground behind this, we will remove 2 quartz bricks, place sand, leave a gap, 2 quartz bricks, place sand, so on and so forth, extending all the way to the back of the build, just like so. We will then remove the blocks in front of the sand and replace those blocks with ochre froglight. We then want to place light grey concrete rows in between all of our tanks, extending from the floor to the ceiling. I would recommend digging through the roof inside of each one of the tanks, and this will make placing the fish a little bit easier later. At the top of the tanks, we will have a row of cyan terracotta. The rest of the tank will be glass, leaving a small space behind with enough room for a couple of plants and a fish. Perfect. Every single tank will also have an item frame in front of the left cyan terracotta and a row of green carpet spanning the length of the tanks from the front all the way to the back. We will also grab some oak signs and we will label these. So I already know what is going in each tank. So for instance, the first sign I will have cod, salmon, and then tropical fish. You could even be cute, Nemo. We then want a puffer fish. And last but not least, we are going to have an axolotl, which I always... Axolotl? I want to say that that's... I think... Axolotl? Is that it? Is there another row? There's no way of finding out. There definitely isn't an item called the axolotl. I think I got it right. What? Spelling bee champion of Minecraft over here. With those tanks prepared, we can turn our attention onto the opposite side of the build where we will have a bunch of plants. So over here in this corner, we will place a sand and right of that, a light grey concrete. sand, light grey concrete, so on and so forth, extending all the way to the front of the building. Perfect. So, in front of this, we want to place a layer of blue concrete. We then want to extend the light grey concrete upwards, and then forwards as well. We then want to add glass in between all of the light grey concrete, just like this, and we are going to add an item frame above and behind every single tank, and a sign in front of every tank as well. So I have already picked all of these out for myself. Do feel free to put these in a different order, but for instance, this first one is tube coral. This next one is brain coral. This next one is bubble coral. This next one is fire coral. This next one is horn coral. And then we have seagrass. Then we have the sea pickle. And then lastly, we have kelp. And that is absolutely perfect. So now that we have all of that done, we can turn our attention onto the sand part of the room. So the way that we find the position for the tank is very simple. We find the 3 middle blocks of the central tank here, and we want to count backwards from these 1, 2, 3, 4, and then remove these 3 middle blocks, and then extend diagonally outwards and backwards, remove those blocks, dig back 1, 2, 1, 2, and then connect together diagonally like so. We are then going to place light grey concrete inside of all of this empty space, and then we are going to remove a few rows in and extending down just like so. So we create quite a deep pit, which we will then fill with sand, and then in the corner we will just add some sand as well. Then remove all of the dirt here and place light grey concrete in there instead. Fill some of this in with water, then add some turtle eggs in here, glass block on top of the light grey concrete, and then a glass pane in each corner, connecting things together to make it a little bit more rounded. And later on, we will put a turtle in here and maybe even some plants as well. Next, we are going to work on the till area by first of all filling in this space across the back of the build with quartz pillar, and then above it with blue concrete. Next, come all the way over to this window on the left and extend down, and then right by 2, 1, 2, place a bookshelf, and then 2 to the right, extend all of the bookshelves up to reach the ceiling, then place a row of 1, 2, 3, 4 spruce slabs extending right of the lower bookshelves, and 1, 2 spruce trapdoors extending right. We then want to place item frames on these first 2 spruce slabs, and then leaving a gap of 1 in front of all of this, we will place a row of stripped spruce log, just like this. We want to add a small fishbowl on the counter space at the back here. This is a glass block with an oak trapdoor on top. We then want to place an iron shovel in one of these item frames and a cobweb in the other, so we have a little spade and a net. Flower pots on top of the trapdoors, and 1, 2, 3 flower pots along the side here. We then want to leave a gap of 1, heavy weighted pressure plate, smooth quartz stairs next to the pressure plate. Then we are then going to place a variety of saplings inside of our flower pots, and these would be decoration for our fish tanks. By the way, I'm also just going to place a few lanterns spread out throughout the shop just to keep the place a little bit brighter. I think that is probably a sufficient amount right there. Next, let's start filling in the tank. Let's start with the plants. So each one of these tanks has to have water in it. And then we are going to place our various corals. So all of these are laid out for me already, so do feel free to change them if you like. But in each one of the corresponding tanks, we are also going to have the item frames above them as well with what is in the tank. We have them all nice and labeled, hopefully in the right order. I'm just checking for myself right now. Yep, perfect. I've not messed up for once. So the reason that we did the plants first is because we actually also want to come all the way over to the fish tanks, and not only do we want to fill these up, we only have to fill up behind the glass, by the way. We're going to add lights to the top, but we want to fill these up with water. And then in every single tank I have a little rule. A coral and something green. It doesn't really matter what you put in here. I think I'm actually kind of going in the order that the plants are in on the opposite side, which I don't strictly want to do, but it doesn't matter too much. But a coral and something green is a nice little rule to keep all of the tanks looking nice and fresh. We also have to fill up the large central tank at the front of the build as well. So this begins with us filling it all the way up to the very top with water. And then I'm going to take my favourite colour of coral, and I am going to create a coral-like structure in the middle. So something a little bit like this looks pretty good, I think, for coral. Maybe even just like another little bit just here. Maybe even like remove this bit here. I think that that's a pretty cool looking coral cluster. And then we can use all of our smaller plantable corals and seagrass and even perhaps a little bit of kelp, and we also need some sea pickles as well to add a bit of light to the tank, maybe just here, over here in this corner, and we can even plant different corals on the actual central coral as well. And I think that that looks really good, and we can place some larger creatures in there as well, or we can just have a really nice coral display. I mean, it looks good either way. But first of all, we have to add the fish to our tanks. The first one is cod. So, I'm going to take the cod spawn egg, place him in there, and then frog light above, and then seal off the roof with slabs. This next one is salmon. This next one is the tropical fish. This next one is the pufferfish. And lastly, we have the axolotl. It has only just occurred to me that it may have been better to actually use the buckets of the fish instead of adding the water and then the fish afterwards. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't spawn multiple fish, but the reason being is because we then want to place in the item frames of the corresponding fish the buckets of the fish that are in the tanks, because it just looks so much better than like putting the spawn egg or the dead or / cooked fish variant in there. But yeah, you will want to acquire those because it just does look really cool. And lastly, in the turtle enclosure, I'm just going to have some sea pickles, some seagrass, and of course the turtle in there as well. And that is it for all of our friendly little creatures inside of our pet store. Unless you did want to put something rather large in here, and my recommendation is pretty simple. A couple of glow squids would look really, really cool. They're very impressive, and they're not likely to escape. One final small detail for the inside of the aquarium, ladies and gentlemen, a small bench just in front of the large tank here. So leave a gap of 1 between the 3 middle blocks of the tank and place 3 spruce slabs with spruce signs on the end. And there we have a nice viewing bench where we can watch Donatello or we can watch our squids. And that's it, tutorial over, ladies and gentlemen. However, this video is not yet finished. We must now take our aquarium / fish shop and add it into our city. I already know where this is going, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to fit in nicely into the modern suburbs. We already have a spot for it. It's going right there. Perfect. And this video is over. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this tutorial. Please do remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you are looking for more things to make by me, check out the Mini City Builds playlist down below in the description for everything that you can have and will not see on the screen right now. We have city builds, video game builds, movie builds, cartoon builds, you name it, we have it. Check the playlist down below. thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.